The Earth is being cooked from above by our erratic sun and from below by seismic activity in the oceans. Michael Snyder reports, there is a rational explanation for the crazy things that we're witnessing. Over the past few years, weather patterns have gone completely nuts all over the globe, and the mainstream media insists that they can explain exactly what's happening. But the truth is that they can't. When you take a close look at the models they're using, you quickly discover that they are fundamentally flawed. Throughout human history, the climate has always been changing, and human activity has had very, very little to do with it. In recent years, we've seen record-setting cold, unprecedented flooding, and horrific droughts. Right now, we're witnessing tremendous heat, and that is because we're being cooked from above by our entire erratic sun, and we're being cooked from below by seismic activity in the oceans. Hopefully, by the time you're done reading this article, or I'm reading it for you, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Earlier this week, news outlets all over the globe breathlessly reported that we had just experienced the hottest day ever recorded. The hottest day ever on Earth since records began happened on July 3rd, 2023. An average global temperature reached 62.62 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the average global, that's for the whole Earth. The average global air temperature was recorded 2 meters above the Earth's surface, with the data compiled by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and the University of Maine. And when we were told that Tuesday and Wednesday were even hotter, Earth's average temperature remained at a record high Wednesday after 2 days in which the planet reached unofficial records. It's the largest marker in a series of climate change-driven extremes. The average global temperature was 62.9 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the University of Maine's Climate Reanalyzer, a tool that uses satellite data and computer simulations to measure the world's conditions, and that matched a record that set Tuesday and came after a previous record of 62.6 degrees that was set on Monday. And here in the United States, we're seeing some absolutely crazy high temperatures. For example, we're being told that high temperatures in Phoenix will be over 115 degrees Fahrenheit all of the next week. The temperature hit 108 on Wednesday afternoon in Phoenix, and it might be the lowest high for at least the next week. An excessive heat wave that was initially set to expire Wednesday night was extended to Friday night and could go on longer, with temperatures expected to rise higher than 115 degrees all of next week. Meanwhile, we're seeing tremendous heat waves in our oceans. Roughly 40% of the world's oceans are experiencing marine heat waves, the most since satellite tracking started in 1991, according to National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. By September, that number is projected to climb to 50%, a number that is kind of scary, said Dylan Amaya, a research scientist with NOAA's Physical Sciences Laboratory. And this is definitely something that should alarm us. And as I discussed last month, there are some areas of the Atlantic Ocean where water temperatures have actually been 9 degrees warmer than normal. And that is serious. So why is all this happening? All throughout human history, sunspot activity has had a tremendous impact on global temperatures. When sunspot activity is very low, global temperatures tend to be lower. And when the sunspot activity is very high, global temperatures tend to be higher. In recent months, sunspot activity has been rising at an exponential rate. We have a chart here coming from the Royal Observatory of Belgium Solar Influence Data Analyst Center. Hopefully sunspot activity will start to level off, because if it doesn't, we are going to have a real problem in our hands. Our sun is also becoming increasingly erratic. In fact, it's being reported that back-to-back solar flares were just released from the sun. Back-to-back solar flares, including one on the 4th of July, will create solar weather storms resulting in brighter auroras and potential power grid fluctuations. While our neighbors were preparing to put a fireworks show Tuesday evening, the sun was ejecting a powerful burst of energy, putting on its own show. Over the past few years, I've expressed my concerns about the behavior of the sun numerous times, and this is something that I will continue to watch very closely. At the same time, seismic activity on our ocean floors continues to rise. Back in March, scientists discovered a sprawling field of hydrothermal vents on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. That's where we have the Mid-Atlantic Trench, we know. There's magma under there. Some of these vents are releasing material hot enough to melt lead. On March 12, a team of scientists gathered in the control room of RV Falker 2, an oceanographic research vessel operated by the Schmidt Ocean Institute. They watched the monitor of a camera-wielding underwater drone, or ROV, as it explored the deep sea 2,000 meters, 6,600 feet below the ship. When the screen showed a plume of black smoke, the scientists cheered. The video showed a sprawling field of hydrothermal vents, fissures in the seabed where seawater mixes with magma. On the Pays de Fol volcano in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, some of the vents, known as black smokers, had formed tall chimneys of iron sulfide deposits that gushed out dark, sulfurous plumes with temperatures up to about 340 degrees Celsius. That's a whopping 644 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. In the Pacific Ocean, similar things are happening. In fact, scientists have discovered a gigantic hole 50 miles off the coast of Oregon that is spewing hot liquid into the Pacific Ocean like a fire hose. Experts are on high alert amid fears a crack at the bottom of the ocean could trigger an apocalyptic earthquake. The hole is just 50 miles off the coast of the U.S. state of Oregon. And that's, 50 miles off Oregon, a hole. This spewing hot liquid that scientists warn could spark a magnitude 9 earthquake with the potential to devastate the West Coast. This is why ocean temperatures are suddenly rising so much. If our oceans continue to heat up, millions upon millions of fish will be at risk. Our ocean floors are much closer to the core of the earth than we are, and I believe that something very unusual is happening down there. And of course, all of this is happening at a time when our entire world and everything in it seems to be going completely nuts. Sadly, most people just don't get it. Most people just assume that everything is just fine and that any problem that we are facing, the problems we're facing, are just temporary. Unfortunately, these problems are not going away. In fact, our nightmares have only just begun. And this is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss any of the latest updates. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, and I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.